It's DSP's Top 5 Surprisingly Good Games of 2012. The best games that you probably didn't play this year. Number 3, The Darkness 2. The Darkness 2 is a direct sequel to its predecessor from the last generation of consoles. It follows the story of a gangster who has somehow taken possession of a dark force, an entity that allows these evil demons to manifest themselves in the form of tendrils and all kinds of monstrous machinations. Now, he's heartbroken because in the last game his girlfriend was murdered, and he had thought, wow, that's it, I just kind of have to write this off and just go on with my life as a gangster. But The Darkness 2 focuses in on a secret society who's actually out to get him, and the fact that there's a possibility that his girlfriend may still be alive. Now let's be honest here, The Darkness 2's campaign has great graphics, great gameplay that actually in every single chapter advances, because as you level up your character, he's constantly getting new abilities that actually change the way that the game is played. However, I think a lot of people were turned off because the length of the campaign, being only around 6 hours long, was kind of on the short side. But let me tell you something, the gameplay, the graphics, and especially the narrative were done exceptionally well and paced perfectly. I really feel that if the game were any longer in the story, that it actually would have been too long-winded or too drawn out, and people may have said, this game's boring or a little bit too much on the drawn-out side. Now, by far the coolest aspect of the story is that it's a mystery. You're actually torn between two different plot lines. Sure, one you're the gangster, but in another you're actually an inmate at a mental asylum. And you're constantly trying to figure out whether or not each one is the true reality. Are you actually insane and completely imagining the whole gangster plot line where you have this demon, because it is pretty far-fetched? Or is this secret society or whoever this is behind everything trying to brainwash you into thinking that you're a mental patient for their own reasons? It's a really cool mystery. It keeps you on the edge of your seat until the very end of the game. The one negative that I really have to say about the game is that the ending is a cliffhanger ending. And this is kind of where things get a little bit disappointing, because The Darkness 2, even though it was an outstanding game, and even though in addition to the campaign, it actually had a full co-op mode that added hours and hours of additional online gameplay to the game didn't sell that well. People kind of skipped over it. They didn't understand it. They said, oh, it's just going to be a dial-at-home first-person shooter sequel, and a lot of people didn't buy it. And because of that, it was actually announced later on in the year that the planned story-based DLCs that were going to be for the game had been canceled. And how disappointing to see a game that was a hell of a lot of fun, had one of the most original stories in quite a long time, kind of got swept under the rug when people saved their money for the bigger AAA titles that they were anticipating this year, a lot of which weren't very good or were pretty disappointing. So, The Darkness 2, even if you've never heard of it, even if you've never played it, even if you haven't watched my playthrough of it, I urge you. For now, it's probably at bargain basement prices, one of the most fun and surprisingly good games this year in my opinion. You should definitely check it out. Up next, a game that really went through the ringer and was almost canceled multiple times finally finds a publisher and a place to shine. Check it out.